Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, When a Partner Stops Caring. When a partner stops caring. This is something that some individuals have brought to my attention over the years. I myself went through something like this where I simply didn't believe that my partner cared the least little bit. And I learned that once I had a conversation with my partner, and when I say partner, I'm referring to my husband, things got better. But as long as I didn't talk about it, it seemed as if things got worse. Sometimes the argument shows up over something else when you really need to talk about those feelings on the inside where you feel like your partner just simply does not care about you anymore. Okay. And maybe there is that period of just, I don't care because I got too many other things that I'm caring about these days. That could very well happen. So we're going to talk about relationship anxiety. This is the title of this message today, and may the Lord be with you as you listen to both the spiritual as well as the psychological side of relationship anxiety. The spiritual side of it is when one just simply doesn't trust or believe or care for one's spiritual relationship with the one true God. Okay, that has been left abandoned. And when that's left abandoned, how in the world do you think that a relationship that God may have put together, but then again may not have, how do you think that that's going to be over time? If I'm not cool, so to speak, in love, in like with my creator, then over time, other areas of my life are going to be impacted. So my spiritual house isn't in order. And then here comes the relationship issues. There's no going to the Lord praying. There's no reading the Bible. There's no sitting quietly and meditating. There's just going along with the program. What does relationship anxiety bring about? Emotional distress, lack of motivation, fatigue or emotional exhaustion, stomach upset, and other physical concerns, according to healthline.com. So here one is faced with all these issues and doesn't have a creator? What? Yes. Spiritual house, once again, in disarray. Relationship issues start to build up. Now we've got this person who's walking around, eye rolls, deep sighs, attitudes, you name it. And here is anxiety. Anxiety about the relationship, wondering if we're going to break up, wondering if he still cares for me, likes me, wants me around. All of these issues. And once again, they start to trickle in other areas. You don't do so well at work. You don't do so well with parenting. It's just a domino effect. Healthline says most people feel a little insecure about their relationship at some point, especially in the early stages of dating and forming a commitment. This isn't unusual, so you generally don't need to feel concerned about passing doubts or fears, especially if they don't affect you too much. But these anxious thoughts sometimes grow and creep into your daily life. Here's a look at some potential signs of relationship anxiety. For example, your partner wouldn't miss you much if you weren't around. They might not offer help or support if anything serious came up. They just want to be with you because of what you can do for them, you see. And this sort of thing may be legitimate worries. That's the key that I want some folks to pay attention to. Because if this keeps coming up, this is where the spiritual is coming in, letting you know this isn't good, this isn't good, this isn't good. Something is happening. That's not functional. That's not healthy. If I'm starting to worry about things that I never worried about before, if I'm starting to want to look at phones and I want to go in bags and I want to go in boxes and bins and up underneath, drawers and cabinets and anything else, because I'm worried somebody's hiding something, what could be causing that? You haven't been watching any movies lately, have you? That's triggering these sorts of emotions. You haven't been talking to anybody in the family who's talking to you about exes that did this sort of thing. But there was the change. There was a change in, let's say, the hours that the man is working, or the change that the woman is staying later and later, at her job. Or there's these issues that arise because money's being spent everywhere but in the house. You see. So trying to define what is just a typical worry, it happens, no biggie, from a legitimate worry is where some of you all are going to need to start. Because the legitimate worries will bring about relationship anxiety. And you do start to doubt that your partner likes, cares, loves you. Okay? Nah, you really don't love me. What do you mean? Because every time I turn around, when I say or when I ask or, you are putting up all sorts of fights. The person used to be affectionate. Now they're not affectionate. Come on. Something is changing in the atmosphere. Could it be that they got some health woes? Or maybe there is no health woes. Maybe they got issue with your health woes, you see. These things bring about some distance, some anxiety, some insecurity, you name it. If I'm worrying suddenly about us breaking up, could it be that conversations have been redirected toward that one that he thinks he has an opportunity with? Uh-oh. Could the worrying about the relationship and us breaking up, could it be because maybe I've been acting up lately real bad and making this man want to run over to the other side of the roof because I'm like that dripping faucet. I'm nagging him, you see, and the Bible warns women about this sort of thing. And the Bible warns about, all sorts of things dealing with relationships. Actually, don't covet thy neighbor's wife, right? Talks about adulterers won't inherit the kingdom of God. There's some sprinkling of how we deal with relationships throughout the scriptures. And even when it comes to love, not keeping record of wrongs. It's hard not to have anxiety in a relationship when I got a partner who's scrutinizing me and keeping record of every single wrong that I've committed and can just tell you everything from start to finish, from 19 whatever to 2000 whatever there's a problem there, you see. And sometimes the issues, once again, are not with the other person, but they are with us. Now, continuing on, some other issues that can bring about anxiety is when a person is always mad, at least they appear to be mad at you, and then you ask them and they say no, but they're not telling you what they really are mad about. Okay? That brings about some anxiety too. Ignoring things that bother you, but you really need to talk to a partner about it. Relationship anxiety, here it comes. You start to think about whether or not you're really compatible because you see he's over here and he does this with the closet and I'm over here and I do this with the bedroom and we like to keep our things this way and that way but now he wants to do, so there's these issues, there's the change that takes place, and that of course will bring about the anxiety. And if nobody's talking and people are just doing and folks aren't respecting boundaries and spaces and I've got to yell to get you to do the right thing, yeah, it's going to be hard to live with that person in the short and long term. So you can easily sabotage your own relationship if you don't talk about things and rather you just pick about everything other than, the issue at hand. So you're talking about the kids when you really should be talking about how he makes you feel, or you're talking about the fact that, he needs to be there to help with this and help with that, but then he doesn't want to be there to help with this and that. And you can't make a person do, but what you are responsible for is yourself. And so what he doesn't want to do, you can do for yourself. If that means that you're tired of arguing about the same old things, you're tired of expressing yourself, well, then you need to save your money and be gone. See, because that yelling and screaming and slamming doors and acting up, it's so just juvenile, immature, but it has such damaging effects, especially when children and pets are around. And now everybody's upset with the child who's acting out, or everybody's upset with the pet who's running around barking at his own tail, because people are just freaking out and no one's really addressing anything, and no one really wants to make changes. And we're all grown adults, and I can't make you and don't want a power and control trip on you. So go. Real simple. Go. You don't want to read into things, of course, that aren't there. So if the issue isn't really about the relationship, then what is? What is? And if you got to write some things down and before you talk to your partner about it, then do it. And if you find yourself worrying more than sitting down and really enjoying being with that person, then maybe it is something to strongly consider in the future, whether or not you want to continue on. Because I'll tell you, relationships where I had to worry too much about where the man was, what he said, whether or not it was the truth or what have you, doesn't work. It does not work. You know, we'll try to paint this pretty little picture. We'll try to convince ourselves that maybe things will get better. And it doesn't. It doesn't, because you started off worrying about where he was going and who he was going with and who he was talking to on the phone. You started off worrying about whether or not he was being honest and true. You know, you started off worrying about these things. And then for some of you all, it never let up. It still is there because he's still dealing with the folks that were suspect, and he's still buying for the folks that were suspect, and he's still being friends with those folks. You know, and he's still interacting on Facebook pages and somewhere else with these folks. You don't have to keep putting up with that. I don't recommend anybody keep putting up with that. And hallelujah and praise be to the Lord for freedom and peace, for, you know, the opportunity to just calm your mind and all of that, because that's what you're going to need as you're exiting out. You know, you're going to need that and of course, a quality relationship with the one true God, because it does start to get next to you. Woo! I remember nights staying up real late because I was thinking like, oh no, this isn't about, you know, me overreacting and me being insecure. This man is really with someone. I prayed and the Lord gave me the dream. I saw her, and when I finally met her, she was exactly what God showed me in the dream. But when I did finally meet her, I was gone, because there was no disputing. God showed me. I knew. I felt it. And then I even had others who told me, yes, she is around. And yes, he has every intention of being involved with this person. So what? I'm supposed to just sit around and argue and act up? No. That's when you know you're done with a relationship, when you're not arguing anymore, when all you're doing is working towards getting out. Relationship anxiety seems to never go away when a person cheated on you once, cheated on you again, and kept cheating on you. You say that you're over some things, because I did it. You know, it sounds very noble, running around there talking about, yes, he, you know, did do what he did, but we're working on some things. And, you know, I think that the relationship has a chance to, you know, work. No, that was my way out. That cheating episode was my way out years ago. And rather than take that exit, I'm like, oh no, it's going to get better. And when I least expected it, it only got worse. Because they get mad when they can't cheat. They get mad when they have to, you know, stay committed. That's boring. When a player wants to be a player, the idea of having a wife and kids cramps his style. The idea of a woman who is sitting up there and she's enjoying her life being by herself, and then this man comes along and wants to start telling her where to go and what to do and how to spend her money and everything. She goes off and she does her own thing, you see. The anxiety creeps up in the relationship when all sorts of things are happening, distractions and so forth. Things that, no, I just can't get over. No, I convince myself supposedly that I'm over this, but I'm not, because you find yourself, I got to be in a car. I got to go with him. Because he did some dirt. That's why. And some of you all, I remember I used to be this way. Jealous about other people's relationship. I wish that this man was more loving and kind and stuff like him. Or I wish that we had a close relationship like them. Then you find out that man had cheated on her repeatedly. That's why they have such a so-called close relationship, because she keeping watch. Because she's got to do the types of things that give her peace. Because every now and again, she knows he has an itch and he likes to go out and scratch it. Or, he seems to be so loving, so sweet to his wife. Meanwhile, he's that way because he don't want her to go out there and mess around on him again. You see, so there's some stories with some of these relationships that we don't know. Sometimes there's trauma bonding that goes on where he went through a trauma, she went through a trauma. That's why they're so close, because they got similarities between each other when it comes to trauma. And he can deal with her because she got a lot of issues, and she can deal with him. But if we were to be involved with those people, we couldn't even last a second with them, because we don't have that type of trauma bond, you see. So, we look at folks and we think one thing, and we can create our own anxieties for just thinking things that aren't even the least bit true. So this relationship anxiety can creep up in your new relationship when somebody in the past cheated, when somebody just all of a sudden said they didn't want to be with you anymore. They gave you just false information in terms of how they felt about you, or about the status of the relationship. I mean, we come into these relationships with all this baggage, and so no wonder there's anxieties, we found out back in the day somebody lied about their feelings concerning us. And so here I am, I'm in this new relationship, and I'm sitting up here thinking that this man loves me, wants to be with me and everything. And that could very well be true. But then these feelings, weird situations, something triggers something within, and now the past rears its ugly head. And now that man who, he's thinking everything's good, really isn't, because the past is like that ghost. It just keeps haunting you. You got to tell that ghost to go away in Jesus' name. You got to get away from that ghost if that ghost is chasing you. Lord Jesus, if a person, I will tell you, doesn't have any type of self-esteem, they always are going to have some type of anxiety in relationships. You don't love yourself enough to take care of yourself. You don't have anybody around you that's encouraging you or appreciating you. You see? And then when that shows up in a relationship, it's hard to keep your self-esteem up, right? It's hard to feel uplifted. So that's why some people find their self-esteem lifted elsewhere. She works many hours. He ends up getting involved with someone else. A lot of stuff happens to take somebody's mind off of the relationship anxiety, because you got to have people who's willing to work together for it to go away. And when you don't have people that's willing to work together, it just sits there. It sits there. So I've asked that the Lord just be with each and every one of us, that when anxiety does show up in the relationship, that we will correctly identify where it's coming from and have the energy to be able to fight up against it, right? And that our partners will come along for the ride as well. Let's get rid of this thing. This thing is causing much difficulty. We are disconnecting rather than reconnecting. We need to be more affectionate and show love and appreciation for each other rather than disdain. What is the real issue here? Is the issue really about me, or is it really about the fact that I'm not doing something that is pleasing to you? Okay. Or is it something that you're going through and you feel like maybe, you're not pleasing to me. So it's little things like that, right? If you do end up needing to go to therapy, what I don't suggest is the type of therapy where it is there's like criticisms that are going on. If I already got anxiety about my relationship, this is why I believe some therapy does not work. If I already got anxiety about my relationship, the last thing I need is to be in a setting that's encouraging me to criticize my partner. Let's be in settings that are not about attacking a partner or making them feel that there's an attack going on. Individual therapy might be better. Because this way you can talk to somebody about the issues, and then they can tell you how to talk with your partner, or how to interact with your partner, or maybe not to interact at all, but to just simply move on. Years ago, when I talked with a few people about some of my relationship issues, one was in support of just working things out, sitting down, talking to my partner about these things. And I did. And it backfired. I was cool. I was calm. I was collected. But no matter how I phrased things, it was just being perceived as you're being critical. And, I don't want to talk about this and all that. So total rejection, did not want to listen. Another counselor said, okay, you're not going to approach it from that, standpoint any longer, because obviously it doesn't work. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to get around a team of believers, and you're going to pray to this person. Pray this person to a closer relationship to the one true God. And I thought, but he doesn't seem like he's all into God like that. Nope, do it. So I started doing that. And what was interesting was that as I was thinking positively, right, praying for positive things, praying for spiritually related things, all of the issues that I personally had actually dropped off. It was the weirdest thing. It was like, wow, I am not having to deal with those other issues that was creating the relationship anxiety. So therefore, because I didn't have those issues, there was no need for me to go and approach him and talk to him about some things, because I'm like, God got me, God got me, because I am redirecting my thought process from everything that's wrong to everything that's righteous and good in God. So I'm praying for this person, not like, oh, this is my last effort to try to save the relationship. I'm praying for this person like I did a friend. Okay. That's key. Like a friend, not anything special, but like a friend, like, somebody who, you just want what's best for them. You're not really talking to them as much as you used to, but you're praying simple things like healing and health and a better job. And that's what I was doing. Simple things, nothing complicated, nothing that was going to get me all worked up and get me to think more about the relationship and all the anxieties. Nope, that was not going to be it. And that's when stuff started dropping off. I stopped worrying about where he was going, who he was talking to, I stopped worrying about his past and all that other stuff. Did not have to worry about trying to, monitor his social networking accounts and all that other stuff, because I'm good with God. I know that God got all of us. I know that God is just working some things out. I know that I can move on at any given moment if things, just get to a point where they're unbearable. And when you know that you got a way out, it makes it all the more easier. Okay. It makes it all the more easier because, a person's only going to do but so much before they say, you know what, I don't know if this is working. And you're like, well, I don't know if it's working either. I mean, no one's really putting any effort. So let's move on, you see. And it's no screaming match or anything, because you've already seen what, took place when you tried, when you made the gallant effort, so I don't know. I feel like I'm talking to someone who just wants that practical conversation, wants to reevaluate some things that's going on in a relationship, wants to tackle some anxieties, wants to be free, wants to make sure that he or she's got the money to be able to move if need be. And that comes with focusing in on, various income sources, not just a job, but various income sources to be able to get you out sooner rather than later when that time comes. But for now, If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Be that one that goes to the one true God and let him have his perfect work in you. Well, blessings to you. Thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube, NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving on this channel, and thank you again.